Welcome to the Greater Than Business podcast, where it's all about creating an amazingly successful business without sacrificing your quality of life, because life should be greater than business. And now, here is your host, Courtney Bedore.
This is episode 62 of the Greater Than Business podcast, and today we are going to be talking all about how I create courses, and specifically which course creation method I use and love. So if you already have listened to some episodes, you will know that I am coming out with my very first course in the next couple weeks, and I am super excited about it. So over the past couple of months, I have been going through and planning and trying to figure out the best way for creating courses. And the reason that I went through all of this trouble was because I wanted to be able to speak to you guys about it. And I also wanted to make a rinse and repeat formula that I can use so that the next time I go to create a course, it won't take me nearly as long, because there are tons of topics that I want to create courses around. And the best way for me to be able to create that many courses is by coming up with a method that will allow me to rinse and repeat. So what I have done is I actually use a method that is not my own. I do not know who started it. But where I heard of it was on Amy Porterfield's podcast, which I will link in the show notes for you guys. And I know that her method that she uses was either created or adapted by her really good friend, Gina. And actually, when I was down in San Diego, I met Gina, and she is phenomenal. She is so smart, and she comes over from Amy's days working with Tony Robbins. So you know that she's definitely got her stuff together if she was any part of Tony Robbins's content team, because he just pumps out the content. So it is a really good method, and I absolutely love it. And I will link to Gina's course creation boutique website and her services as well, because she is phenomenal. So with all of that being said, I want to walk you through what I did to plan out my course and then actually get to recording and all of that other fun stuff. So the method that they use and that I have used and adapted kind of as not my own, but I have made certain little parts of it my own. It's the Post-it note method. So what you do is you sit down with a list and you write out all of your ideas for modules. So obviously, you kind of have to start with your course and look at where people are when they start your course versus where you want them to end up when they're finished with your course. And then you need to think about those steps. So the steps of how you get from A to B. Those steps are going to become your modules. And then what you need to do with each of those modules is then break it down further. So this is where the Post-it notes come in, because you can lay out all of the modules that you want. And for me, with the most recent course that I did, there's actually 10 modules. And in each of those 10 modules, there's various lessons that go along with those. So for example, one of my modules for my upcoming course is module 8, which is all about tracking and stats. So underneath the tracking and stats, obviously, I'm going to then look at what I want to track and what are these stats and how I would go about doing that. So I broke them down into lessons. So for this one, there's only 4 lessons. There is where and how to track. So obviously things that you need to know to be able to track your numbers and your stats. And then there's the second lesson is metadata and SEO, which is another thing that you'd want to make sure you have set up for your tracking and your stats, because that is going to get you organic reach for this is for a sales funnel course. So obviously you want your sales funnel to be found organically as well as through ads. And then I have lesson number 3, which is dashboard reports, which basically means like a quick glance on either a Google Sheet or on your Infusionsoft dashboard is actually what that lesson is more so about, but a way that you can quickly see at a glance all of the reports that you need to see. And that's something that you can do in your Infusionsoft account or something that you can do elsewhere. And then the lesson number 4 is all about your goals. So obviously you want to be tracking your stats with your goals in mind as well. So that is an example of kind of how I broke down that one main module topic into 4 lessons. And the way that I got to those 4 different lessons is by looking at the module and then all of the little things that I would want to make sure that I talk about. And the reason why you put it on Post-it notes is because firstly, you can color code it. So if you've ever seen the inside of my office, you know that I am a huge color coder. All of my books on my bookshelf are all color coded. It is a little bit insane. But with that, I love being able to see the Post-it notes and know that all of the ones in blue are related to module 8. All of the ones in yellow are module 10. All of the ones in green are module 4. So it's a really, really simple way for me to be able to know where I put things. And then if I have to move them, I'll know where they came from too. So what I mean by that is sometimes when you're going through, and let's say that I originally had goals in my testing and launching. So testing and launching is module 9. And let's say I had goals in testing and launching at the beginning. And then I kind of realized, no, you know what? Goals should go under tracking and stats. So that needs to move to module 8. So what I can do then is take that color-coded Post-it note and just slide it over to the next column, or however I lay out the Post-it notes as in columns so that I can see kind of everything at a quick glance. But I can move it over. And then before I obviously go through and record everything, I can then see like, okay, yeah, that was in module 9 because I can tell by the color that it once was, but now it's under the column for module 8. So I can really get a look of where I've made decisions and why I made those decisions. So something like goals, obviously I want that under tracking and stats because you should be tracking the stats for your goals related to, for in this instance, the sales funnel course. So obviously you would want to be monitoring those things, and that is why I made the decision to move it over to tracking and stats. So you can kind of see how well that works just by laying things out, and by doing it on Post-it notes, it allows you to really put it up on a wall, put it up on a window, put it on your whiteboard, and really be able to look at it in a very tangible way. I find a lot of entrepreneurs can't work off of documents. Sometimes some of us, especially creatives, need that thing that you can hold in your hand, that ability to see it in front of you. And sometimes just writing out module lists inside a document isn't the best for certain minds. And this is the way that I found is super good for me so that I can see it all, I can move it, I can really get a feel for it. And then it's really, really satisfying to be able to move the Post-it notes to a different spot once they're done. So then you can really see how well you're doing in your course creation. And so what I do is I have them all laid out in a wall. And then I'm a huge fan of scrum boards where you have the doing, done, delegate. I'm trying to think of the other. I have a modified one, so mine's a little bit different. But the ability to see what you have left to do and be able to break it down that much further. And then, of course, when you're done, you can just slam it on the done column and it gives you an amazing boost of energy and satisfaction just being able to get that done in such a permanent way. So another thing that I love about using Post-it notes to plan your course is that you can then go through and also think about the assets that you need. So just knowing the topic of your modules and lessons is one thing, but then you need to go through and say, okay, what is the best way for me to teach this? And you can put little Post-it notes underneath showing that you need to record 3 different videos for this lesson. And then you also need to have 2 PDFs to support those lessons. And then you also want to, let's say you have a course that is complemented by another piece of content that you've done before. Well, then obviously you'd want to include that content as kind of an extra or a bonus. Put down a Post-it note to remind yourself of all of this. And that is something that you can easily move around. And that is the key for the whole Post-it note method, is that nothing is set in stone, nothing is certain. It allows you to see everything in front of you and make those changes that you need to make. And you're able to see if maybe one module is too heavy, and then maybe you might need to give your students a break after that module so that they can get caught up. Or maybe it's something like you can see how one module is going to be super, super PDF heavy. And maybe you want to move some of those topics or break it down into 2 modules versus 1. And things like that really allow you to plan it out to get the best results for your customers, who are then going to be the ones that are taking your course. So when you're going through this whole planning stage, it's really important to think about the customer or client journey through your course, because so many people take courses and never complete them, and you don't want to have that. It's something that's inevitable. There are going to be people that are just not going to take your course through its entirety. But if you can do it in a way where you structure your course so that it's just baby steps each time they log in to do a module, then by the time they complete the course, they should have been able to complete whatever it is that your course is about. And by seeing all of that out on your Post-it notes, it makes it super easy for you to see if there's any flaws in the structure of the way that you have your whole course set up. And it allows you to see the progression that your customers are going to go through as they're taking your course. So you can see if there's going to be a big hurdle in module 6, well, then maybe either put that at the end or make sure that you give them ample opportunity to complete that module and all of the steps that are required, and breaking it down in a way that allows them to just do like 15 quick minutes a day will get you through this. 20 minutes a day will get you through this. Things like that. You just have to kind of make sure that it all makes sense and that you don't have days that are too heavy or weeks that are too heavy. It depends on how long your course is. I'm not going to say months necessarily, but things like that. You want to make sure that you are being conscious of the fact that if you are making a course, people have lives outside of that, and you really want to make sure that you're making it as easy as possible to complete, and that your step-by-step format allows them to go from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next. And you don't need to worry about them needing to watch the whole module before they can take action, because if they have to watch all of your lessons and all of your videos and fill out all of your PDFs before they can actually do things in their own business or in their own life to get those results, then you're not going to have them completing your course in its entirety. And that comes from someone that has taken so many online courses, and I have helped create multiple online courses as well. And I can tell you right now that you need to make sure that with each of your lessons that each person is able to complete something that takes them one step closer towards the ultimate ending journey, which would be the completion of your course. And they should be able to get the result that they're looking for by completing your course from completing your course. And I find that allowing each lesson to be completed and then actually implementing it in your business or life, then that gives you that little bit more motivation that then will push you forward into then taking the next step, and then the next step, and then the next baby step. And then each of your lessons should be planned out that way so that when you're looking at your whole big picture, you can literally say that as long as you complete each step and don't move ahead, complete that step, and then as soon as you're done, move to the next one. And the best way for you to be able to see that is by using the Post-it note course creation method. So, super excited for you guys to start implementing this. It's super simple. I don't really need to give you guys a whole lot of breakdown of like steps that you need to complete to start planning your course this way. Literally just get as many Post-it notes as you have, or sticky notes, whatever. Get as many as you have in as many different colors as you can, and sit there and really think of like, okay, so here's my process. And then break it down. Okay, so this is my whole process of whatever you're going to be teaching. And then look at it and go, okay, here are the big steps. The big steps are this, 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 and this. Okay, then those are your modules. And then from there, what are the baby steps that you need to complete within each of those big steps? Start at the beginning or start at the end. Sometimes I find it easier to work backwards, but for certain courses, it's easier to work forwards. So it just depends on what you're building out. But if you can look at each module and then break it down into lessons, and then further to that, break it down into deliverables. So each lesson is going to be about a certain topic, but within that, you might need to do 3 different videos for that lesson to be able to properly teach it to your customers. And you also will want to make sure that you are realizing that maybe something isn't necessarily a video teachable moment. Maybe it's something that needs to be supported by a PDF or a book or something else that you have created that will allow them to get the results that they need. And then from there, you can really break it down and you'll actually create a to-do list with these Post-it notes. And you can move it around, you can play with it, and then once it's finalized, then you can start at the beginning and start recording, start creating, start producing everything that you need. And then from there, you're slowly building out your course. And you can work as fast as you want on it. You can work as slow as you want. I would recommend working a little bit faster versus slow so that you actually get it done. But by the time you've gone through and you're slowly ticking away each of those Post-it notes, you'll get to the very end and boom, you have your whole course done. It's ready to go, and then you can start promoting it. So it's a really good method. And once again, with the whole strategy that I was talking about with being able to allow your students to get those small wins, you will also be getting those small wins too throughout your course creation plan. Because each time you finish one thing, you know that you're going to get to check off that Post-it note, move it to the done column. I was going to say rip it up and throw it out, but maybe don't do that, because you definitely want to make sure that you're keeping things all in order and that you can go back in case you need to see what you've created and what order they're supposed to be in. So definitely don't rip them up. But I hope that you can see the success that you can get from using this method. So take a second, sit down after you're done listening to this episode and start planning out the next course that you can make for your business so that you can slowly start removing yourself from the hectic day-to-day roller coaster event of sales and get a course that is out there for your people that can help boost your business, create an additional income stream, and allow you to get back to living the life that you created your business around. So I hope that you guys are having a great time, and I can't wait to talk to you guys again next week. If you have any questions at all, my email address is always on the show notes page for you guys, and you can find the show notes at greaterthanbusiness.com/062. So can't wait to talk to you guys again next week, and I hope you are building the business that you want while living the life that you deserve.
Thanks for listening to the Greater Than Business podcast at www.greaterthanbusiness.com.